Okay, so the Red Wings and Blackhawks playing at United Center. I'm Taylor Phillips, Frank Vasner here. Still waiting for Ed Smith. We're going to cover just the Red Wings and Blackhawks while we wait for Ed Smith. And then when he gets here, we're going to talk about the topics at hand. We're going to talk about the Red Wings suffering two consecutive regulation losses to Calgary and Montreal prior to this game. And then we're going to talk about the Pistons starting 0-2 while missing Cade Cunningham. Plus, we'll talk about college football, including the Michigan Wolverines beating the Northwestern Wildcats and the upcoming game between them and the Michigan State Spartans. Plus, we'll talk about the Lions and the Los Angeles Rams game. The Lions stay winless, but again, we are waiting for Ed Smith to come on with us. So, Frank, what do you think of the game thus far? Lucas Raymond with 2 goals and 1 assist. Larkin with a goal plus a penalty that pretty much initially killed the 4-minute power play late in the first period. But man, the Red Wings have scored 5 goals total against the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks also winless, just like Montreal, going into last night's game at Bell Center. So Frank, go ahead.
Oh, I think so far I could say have yourself a night, Lucas Raymond. 3-point night so far. I believe that he now leads the all rookies in the NHL in terms of scoring, only ahead of Moritz Seider of the Red Wings. Oh, and Lucas Raymond got his first career hat trick because I just got the notification from the Score app. So
I'm watching this right now.
How about that? I think he's definitely cementing his place as an impact player for the Red Wings this season. So,
yep.
I mean, I've said it all along, Taylor. For the Red Wings, the young guys got to contribute. I'm kind of expecting the season to go kind of like how the Pistons did last season, where may not win a lot of games, but you're going to see the young guys making contributions and continuing to develop and get better and better day in and day out. And so far, that's kind of what's happened.
Yeah, true. So we remember the first game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, of course, but they got back on their horse. They beat the Vancouver Canucks 2-1, and then the Columbus Blue Jackets 4-1 before they fell flat against Calgary, the Flames 3-0, and then 6-1 at the Montreal Canadiens. They just fell apart. And I was thinking already, but that proved how Blashill could not coach this team.
Well, I really don't get why he scratched Philippe Roenick, who was one of the better defensemen. I mean, look, if you're going to sit somebody, you should sit Danny DeKeyser, who's been a problem. I know Troy Stetcher drove into the lineup the other night, but DeKeyser clearly needs to sit and get out of here. Roenick sitting, that's not going to cut it. And a lot of people are saying that's strike 1 against Blashill. Not that he's already got enough strikes against him already, and his ass is in the jackpot. But, end of the day, loss is a loss. You just got to see how you continue on throughout the season. And, of course, I just got the alert that Raymond got his 3rd goal, Larkin and Seider with the assist. So
7 minutes flat on the power play into the 3rd period.
Yeah. So I definitely think that both Seider and Raymond are proven to be cornerstones of the franchise so far. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Yep. Then the Blackhawks are on the attack, and then the puck is deflected out of play. So there'll be a face-off somewhere. 11:50 to play in the 3rd period. I'm going to share this on Ed's timeline and then yours before we share this on our podcast page. There we go. So Red Wings are up 6-3. Still waiting for Ed Smith to join us. So 11:44 left. Blackhawks play that one out of play. It was deflected out of play. Still 6-3 Red Wings.
One more thing I will add about the Red Wings this year, Taylor, is I'm not sure if I've said it here. This team may not win a lot, but I think they're definitely fun to watch. I mean, last few years they've been unwatchable. You're like, okay, this team is stuck. I know Yzerman's the GM. It's year 3 of the Yzer plan, and it's paying its dividends so far.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now 11:23 left to play in the third period. Still 6-3 Red Wings. 34-21 Red Wings. Face off between Raymond and number 52. That's Johnson. Johnson wins the face-off.
Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, former Tampa Bay Lightning player. Yeah. Jones clears it to center. Yep.
He ended up actually scoring
being chased down. Right. Yeah, Johnson. I saw his goal. Yep.
He was always a thorn in the side of the Red Wings when he was with the Lightning.
Yeah, but Jonathan. Yeah, we remember Jonathan Erickson's turnovers and Tyler Johnson taking advantage of them when Jonathan Erickson was on the Red Wings team.
Yeah, and also I just got a tweet from Prashant Thayer saying Lucas Raymond having the first 4-point game for a Red Wings rookie since some guy named Nick Lidstrom. So let that sink in.
Yeah. Here's Raymond with it, already getting a hat trick. Pass back out to Rasmussen. Stetcher, I think. Now Rasmussen deep in the corner, in the far corner. Now the Blackhawks intercept.
Please leave your message.
Then Nemestikov. Now Raymond with a shot and a glove save by the backup goaltender.
So Fleury's not in net for Chicago tonight?
Well, I think Fleury got chased, considering the Red Wings scored 4 goals in the second period.
I didn't happen to see who started. I was the game. I was busy working on some Friday Night Victor stuff earlier.
Yeah,
it's good to see the Wings are taking care of business against the Blackhawks, though.
Yeah, 10:04 winding down, third period.
Please leave your message.
So we're still waiting for Ed Smith to join us, and when he gets here, we'll talk about the topics at hand. Then we'll start the Michigan Sports Truth Weekly podcast weekly discussion for October 24th, 2021. It is sponsored by the Viget Sports mobile app, where great fans cover. Download it on your phone from the Apple App Store or Google Play. Sign up and type in the referral code Stables for Stables Media. 9:41 left to play in the third period. Still 6-3 Red Wings. They are Bally Sports Detroit heads to commercial break. Oh, there's Ed. Hey, Ed. Yeah, we're still waiting for you. We're covering Red Wings and Blackhawks live while we wait.
Hey.
Yep. Yeah. So, you must have fallen asleep, haven't you? But hey, we're still waiting. We're just getting started.
No problem. Give me 1 second. I'm on my way.
Okay. Yep. That's okay. Yep. Ed's on his way. So, yep.
Oh, that's good.
Yep. All right. So Ed Smith will join us in any minute. So, again, 9:41 to play. Third period at United Center. The Red Wings lead the Chicago Blackhawks 4-1. The Blackhawks 0-4-1 going into this game. The Red Wings 2-2-1 going into this game. The Red Wings started 2-0-1 before losing suffering two straight regulation losses to the Calgary Flames and the Montreal Canadiens after starting their season 2-0-1. So if the Red Wings hang on here, then they snap that short 2-game regulation losing streak. So, yep, Ed is on his way. Just bear with us here.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to talking about Michigan State and Michigan coming up on Saturday. That's going to be a fun one.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So, yep, Ed is asking for the link. I just texted him. It's already sent on Messenger. Here, I can copy this. I can text the link to him as well. So,
yeah. And one thing I am looking forward to hearing Ed's reaction to is Lions actually keeping it close with the Rams today and actually willing to come out and play with like they had nothing to lose.
Yep, 9:15 to play, third period. Now the Blackhawks have a 2-man advantage for 1 minute and 34 seconds.
Did they say who's in the box?
I'm not sure, but hold on just 1 second here. Ed just joined us, so
there he is.
Hey, Ed.
Good evening. Apologies for technical difficulties.
Yep, that's okay. So let's see. So let's start with our opening statement. This is the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast weekly discussion for Sunday, October 24th, 2021. Ed, we'll start with you. What is your opening statement?
Opening statement is the Lions pleasantly surprised me today, not just with their effort, not just their mentality, but just their absolute will throughout the game. Even though they didn't win, they didn't quit. And as for college, I can say is finally, we can begin the countdown to this clash, this judgment day of a clash between Michigan and Michigan State.
All right. Frank, what's your opening statement?
My opening statement relates to college football. Saturday, October 30th in East Lansing at high noon on Fox. Get your popcorn ready. It's going to be a hell of a show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss it.
Yes. Opening statement. My opening statement, the in-state rivalry, of course, game. The in-state rivalry game, of course, is coming near, while the Lions stay winless despite some effort in LA against their former quarterback, Matthew Stafford by name. Meantime, Cade Cunningham's right ankle sprain is taking too long to heal, obviously. The Red Wings are letting water find its level with the same head coach they've had before, but it is 6-4 now, but Jeff Blatchel is challenging a goal here, a power play goal, with 8:56 left to play in the third period. But before we begin, this show is sponsored by the Viget Sports mobile app where great fans cover. Use the hashtag on social media, Great Fans Cover, to support the app. Download it on your phone from the Apple App Store or Google Play. Sign up and type in the referral code STABLES for Stables Media. Also a shout out to Cali Tickets. Visit CaliTickets.com or call 877-225-8425 to purchase tickets to a featured event. That's 877-225-8425. So let's start with the Red Wings. They've suffered 2 consecutive regulation losses to the Calgary Flames and the Montreal Canadiens after starting their season 2-0-1. And Tyler Bertuzzi could not make it to Montreal due to COVID protocols. And yes, the challenge is on by Jeff Blatchel. So while we cover Red Wings and Blackhawks live, we'll start with Ed on the Red Wings, and then we'll go to Frank while he wears his Red Wing shirt. Ed, go ahead.
I can say, while there are some things to be impressed by, seeing how they can get games done, get some wins out the way. They're only not too far away in the Atlantic Division, but there's still things they have to learn from in terms of taking that next steps to be a better team than what they were last year, such as still finding out ways to close out games when you have multi-goal leads, finding a way to bounce back from deficits, being more efficient with your power play, And also, while they're getting better at the power play, they haven't been too so well at stopping the power play on the other end. So even though they're like tied for 18th in power play efficiency offensively, defensively their penalty kills rank for 22nd. And they got to get better goaltending as well. That can't be mistaken. I know it will be easy to say, oh, what about defense? What about plays and everything? But you still need your goaltender to do well. And while I'm not asking him to stand on the head for me, I would ask him to do at least better protecting third period leads for me. So they're trying to do, shore up this one here. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I like what I've seen so far. I like, obviously, even though he's not able to go here for obvious reasons, I do like seeing Tyler Bertuzzi's production rate in terms of goals and points overall. I really like seeing Moritz Seider getting his worth already. He's already got 4 points, and this is his first time seeing, big league action in NHL. And for a defenseman doing that, it's quite impressive for his sake. And even though Lucas Raymond got hurt the other night, he was still able to produce himself. So,
and he just scored a hat trick. And by the way, that Blackhawks goal was waved off, no goal.
Right. So at least with time still winding down, now less than 9 minutes to go in the third, that's important because you would think, hey, milk the time down. You can find a way to get
Nedeljkovic with an amazing save now. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully they've learned their lesson from that opening night collapse against Tampa, but we shall see. But again, I like what I've seen so far, but you can obviously tell where improvements still need to be made.
Yeah, there's still 1-on-1 left on the two-man advantage for the Chicago Blackhawks, but Nedeljkovic with a diving save. The Red Wings were outscored 9-1 in that two-game regulation losing streak. But Jeff Blashill might have given his team an earful. Give him credit. And he won a challenge just recently.
Exactly. So that's something to pay attention to at the very least.
Yeah. That shot deflected up high. Still off a stanchion. Not quite out of play, but Blackhawks still on the attack. Frank, your turn.
Well, you mentioned that they won that challenge, and I just saw Prashant Thayer tweet that the Red Wings are 14-4 on coaches' challenges since the 2019-2020 season, so that's a feather in the cap to the video team. But, I mean, kind of go off what Ed said, you're seeing the guys like Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, and I mentioned this to you, Taylor, that they are becoming cornerstones of the franchise. We've seen what Raymond can do, what he's done tonight. Seider is becoming that next great defenseman. I'm not sure he's going to be the next Nick Lidstrom, but he's definitely looking a heck of a lot closer to that the more you watch him play.
But also, Nedeljkovic gets in front of that one, and the two-man advantage is killed off. Now just a 5-on-4 power play for just 23 seconds. Continue.
Yeah, and I think Nedeljkovic is definitely playing better since that opening night disaster as well. So I think he kind of needed a little bit of a bad outing just to bring out. I just saw a replay.
He made an amazing stick save. Oh, my God. That's like Peter Mrazek right there.
So, I mean, but like I said, the younger guys are stepping up and contributing and continuing to develop and get better. And that's something that I think we as fans have to look forward to this season. I'm not saying this team's going to win a lot of games, but, if you're seeing guys that go out and get better and give an effort all the time, that's something you can say, hey, we'll take it.
Yep.
And
that's progression.
Plus, they're actually entertaining to watch now, too.
Exactly. It's not an absolute bore. It's not dreadful to watch them game in and game out. And there's, again, progression and development about their young players, too, that they always want to keep an eye on as well.
Yep. Nedeljkovic stands his ground, but the Red Wings are nailed with a penalty. I think playing a puck with his hand, I think Nemestikov is going to go. I'm looking at the replay right about now. The puck was still loose for quite some time. Nemestikov looks like he didn't even play with it with his hand anyway. But the Blackhawks are headed back to a 5-on-3, but only for 7 seconds this time instead of over a minute and a half. But the Blackhawks are going to stay with their power play unit for like most of the span. For like a chunk of this third period, but I don't think that was a delay of game. on Vladislav Nemestikov right there. But
I would have to see what happened. And because I know he said if he put his hand on his puck and passed it while it was in the goal crease, that's a penalty shot. But if they didn't award a penalty shot for it, then
I see a better angle. That Nemestikov covered it with his entire body somehow. Not just his hand, but entire body. So yeah, that was a good call then.
Okay, I guess that is a no.
Yep. But like I said, just 7 seconds of 5-on-3 for the Windy City guys. So yeah, the Red Wings still lead the Blackhawks 6-3. 7:22 left, third period, but you never know what's going to happen. Let's go to Let's go to the Pistons. They start 0-2. Cade Cunningham is still out for the entire 3-game road trip with his right ankle sprain. Now, we thought we was going to be ready for the regular season, and then he was going to be out for the season opener against the Chicago Bulls, and now out for the 3-game road trip. This is starting to concern me a little bit. So, Ed, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Frank. Ed, does it concern you?
Not really. Not as much as you would be concerned. I understand the want to see him play already, but I don't want to rush things either. So they're not doing that. They're taking their time. It's not like they were expected to go anywhere this season anyway. Granted, you would have liked to see them. It's not it would be imperative to want to see Cade get as much playing time and much reps as possible, but his health and preservation is what matters most. And, granted, it's going to be he'll miss the 3-game road trip, but that you can't rule out the possibility of him being available for the 30th, which will be the next home game against the Orlando Magic. So that's always a distinct possibility that he can come back for that one too. It's another couple of games for him to get enough rest and heal up as much as possible. Again, you can't put your finger on it and say for sure, but that wouldn't surprise me if he makes his debut then and there.
Right, Frank. Ed's got a point.
Oh yes, he does. I mean, you don't want to end up playing him before his ankle's completely healthy, and then you risk losing him for a much longer time, as we've seen NBA teams do that with players, especially the young guys in the past. So I think it's important that Cade gets fully healthy and then he's ready to go so he can go out and dominate and do what he does best when the time is right. So it is a little bit concerning that he does have an injury, but in no way am I hitting the panic button because the Pistons weren't expected to do too much this year. So let him rest up, let him heal, let him be ready, and let him be 100%.
Yep. And now we get to college football. The Michigan Wolverines had a defensive slugfest of a first half, except for their last 2 drives in the second quarter where they had 2 good drives. They settled for just a field goal, and then on the second drive, they fumble the football and lose it. And that was a disgusting way to end the first half. And then Jim Harbaugh at halftime, apparently, from what I've heard on Twitter, gave his team, or from what I've heard on the radio, I was listening to the game on my headphones at work. From what I've heard, Harbaugh gave his team an earful. The Wolverines score 17 points in the third quarter, and then they add another touchdown in the fourth quarter to ice it. 33-7, they beat the Northwestern Wildcats, the sluggish Northwestern Wildcats, to stay undefeated and go 7-0 while State took their bye week. And then next week, this upcoming Saturday, the big in-state rivalry game. But we're going to analyze and recap this Northwestern Michigan game. Ed, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Frank. Ed, what'd you see?
Well, what I saw was, first and foremost, a Northwestern team that knew full well that they were underdogs coming in, but they didn't play like underdogs. They played like they were on equal footing with Michigan. And
Ed, Hey Ed, you're muted.
Yeah, I had to mute myself so in case you didn't hear me sneeze on air. But anyway,
bless you.
Thank you. Give credit to the Northwestern's defense holding out as much as they did in the first half. But also, I think that you could tell, between Harbaugh's his supposed speech or him firing up his team at halftime, something was different because the defense were, even though they were solid all the game, they really turned up a notch in that second half, getting stops, getting turnovers, completely setting the tone and momentum. And the offense, they were able to get their job done too, filling out, finishing drives, getting scores, getting touchdowns. I know some people would still like to see J.J. McCarthy come in, get more reps, more so than what they're seeing now, if not outright replace Cade McNamara. But, Cade, despite his faults, he has not been the reason or hasn't done anything to cost us a game as of yet. So I can see why Harbaugh or whoever it is feels comfortable and starting him as the first string quarterback. Because he's been he had one turnover still all season, and that was against the Nebraska game. And you already mentioned the fumbles earlier on, one of them which was not his fault at all. By the way, for Donovan Edwards, Harbaugh mentioned of how that was a learning experience moment for him. I'm willing to believe that. So we'll see how I can't wait to see how he responds and bounce back from that moment of development for him as a young player. But in terms of the defense, doing what they were supposed to do, they got turnovers even. Special teams. How I always mention on this show about special teams. They came through once again here. Cornelius Johnson, a guy who is known for being the most productive receiver for the Wolverines on offense, on his first snap of special teams this whole season, comes through and makes the block punt, which effectively, in my view, was a complete momentum turner from that point on, because you saw how, between Haskins getting his touchdowns, Jake Moody, who, by the way, to this point still has missed only one field goal all year. Everything was what it needed to be. Michigan was able to do what it usually supposed to do in the second half, take control of the ball, take control of possession, and just wear you out, running the ball, and that's exactly what they wanted to do, and they did that all throughout, and that's how they were able to pull away. I was quite impressed by what they were able to do as a team. They didn't get too panicky, even though Northwestern tried to keep it close as long as possible. They focused, and they reshaped focus, I should say, and they hammered down. They did what they needed to do. So I'm glad they got this win, obviously. And now it sets up not just their biggest game of the year so far, but I would dare say the biggest Michigan State matchup in at least 10, 15, maybe 20 years, when you consider the importance, the rankings of both teams, the records of both teams, what it means for both coaches in this game, and not to mention potential Big Ten title aspirations, but also as we get deeper and deeper to the season, potential national title / college football playoff applications. Like, I consider this to be a de facto playoff game eliminator, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah. Frank, how about them Wolverines?
Well, in the words of Bachman Turner Overdrive, they were taking care of business on Saturday, and it was pretty much continuing to make hay, running the football. Hassan Haskins running hard. Blake Corum doing what he does. Donovan Edwards, even though he did lose a fumble, that's going to happen at some point in your career. Just got to be
garbage
measured.
Time.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to be measured. How well are you going to respond to it? You fall off the horse, you get back on, keep riding. And so that said, they handle their business. I mean, I know people are demanding for J.J. McCarthy, but it's kind of hard to bench Cade McNamara when he's
I
not the
prefer a
reason.
platoon.
I mean, I know there's some people that say, oh, yeah, do like they did in the 90s with Tom Brady and Drew Henson. I don't think you can do that anymore, or do the whole Chris Leak, Tim Tebow thing that Urban Meyer did when he was at Florida.
Right.
I don't think that doesn't work these days, because if you change quarterbacks mid-drive, there's gonna come a point in time in season where it's gonna blow up in your face and bite you in the rear end. I saw Michigan State do that under Mark D'Antonio, and it never ended well. So I think Michigan's gonna have to settle on a guy. I mean, getting McCarthy some reps is one thing, but don't put him in in mid-drive and then just have him hand the ball off. I mean, Ed, would you agree that's kind of ridiculous?
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. At least I could say that they're having them get more throws in this week compared to the other weeks. But yeah, it is shifting, I think, philosophically to your offense to go from one aspect to another, literally in the middle of a drive. I could see one aspect of it, um, of separate drives throughout the course of the game, but not in the middle of a drive. That's just too much in my view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Michigan fans actually have a valid point about J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara but only in one area. Cade McNamara can throw short passes and small ball, but J.J. McCarthy knows better than Cade McNamara how to throw the deep ball. And
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, from what
Because Cade McNamara connected a deep pass to one of his receivers.
He's not as consistent with his deep ball passing.
J.J. McCarthy connected with one of his receivers.
Yeah, and
while
the
Cade
sample
McNamara
size
kept
on
playing
McCarthy.
small ball.
The
while
sample size
overthrowing
on McCarthy is
in the
kind of
deep.
small. I mean, yeah, he's shown he can throw the deep ball a little better than McNamara, but again, that's only in certain situations. I'd like to see obviously a little bit more consistency out of him before you really turn the reins over to him. I'm sure Ed would agree with me on that.
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody remembers losing their mind over the deep ball touchdown he had against Wisconsin, but that was when the game was more than effectively in check. So I don't know if you can consider that in terms of proper game time situation, because they already had that game in hand by the time he threw that touchdown.
Yep, true. So with that being said, Michigan stays at 6 while Michigan State moves up to 8. There was another upset in the college football world, of course. I think that was number 4 losing to an unranked team.
Penn State losing to Illinois
in 9 overtimes.
In 9 overtimes. Oh my God.
Yeah, I actually got to see the ending of that one. Apparently, starting with the third overtime, you just basically run a 2-point play and it goes back and forth until it's settled. And I think that basically eliminates Penn State from being near the top of the Big Ten now.
I would say, because they already had the loss to Iowa, so they needed to effectively run the table as much as possible. So now suffering this loss, and that's even before they get to Michigan State, before they get to Michigan, before they even get to Ohio State next week. Their Big Ten East title hopes I would consider now to be done, as well, obviously, as their playoff hopes. And at this point, I would consider Penn State a team that's playing to be in the role of spoiler. So not as formidable on the schedule as it once looked, but still I wouldn't overlook them.
The Red Wings just beat the Blackhawks 6-3, as we learned here. Lucas Raymond again, the hat trick and an assist. So again, those are the AP poll rankings. Michigan at 6, Michigan State at 8. So you know what this leads to, guys. Number 6 Michigan and number 8 Michigan State. Saturday at noon on Fox. Let's start with our Viget analysis and then the scoring predictions. Ed, the floor is yours on this one. Take it away.
I'm expecting to see defense in this one really shine through. I expect both defensive lines to want to focus on not just stopping the run, especially Michigan State against Michigan's rushing attack, but obviously I expect to see some pressuring on the quarterback as well. I think it's safe to say that I trust MSU secondary more so than I trust Michigan's. I know that Michigan has absolute talented guys like Dax Hill, and we saw JT Turner have a bit of a breakout game, a development game for him as well. But I think it's been more consistency on the MSU side of things in terms of their secondary and giving up passing yardage, or at least big plays or chunk plays throughout the air in this season. It's hard to want to see what to expect in this one. I know again, there's many factors and elements that play into this game. I think the fact that it's in East Lansing could be a real benefit for this for the Spartans, getting that home support, getting that crowd support. And based on how Michigan looked against Northwestern, I could definitely expect this to be a close game. Right now, Michigan's favored by 3.5 points. That's the spread looking like. I could easily see this coming down to a field goal type of possession or one score, low scoring type of game where you may need a stop on defense on the last minute drive or trying to see if you can get a field goal to win at the very end. So I could see it coming down to that. I will say Michigan State has had has had no worries on their quarterback play compared to Michigan. So we'll see how that plays out overall. Game plan wise, makes the better play calls. A lot of factors. We could see it come down to a special teams play, like we saw Michigan State having to do it against Northwestern, or what we saw, against Nebraska, or what we saw Michigan do against Northwestern. It could always come down to that. At the end of the day, it comes down to who I think has the better talent overall. And, shocker, I think it's Michigan. Right, what a surprise, me picking Michigan. But I still think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a struggle of a game between both teams. And so my bigger predicted score overall, I will say it will be Michigan 24, Michigan State 21.
All right. And we expect it to be close, too. Not to mention, you got to look for that deep ball because the secondary defense, apparently, especially on that Spartan defense, has been horrid. That still has yet to be fixed. And Frank, you got to factor that in too.
The thing is, unless McNamara absolutely shows out in terms of that, I wouldn't be too worried about his Msu secondary. That's just my view.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Okay, Frank, now it's your turn.
Oh man, this one is gonna be a fun one, fellas. You got an unbeaten Michigan team, unbeaten Michigan State team. First time since 2010 where both teams are undefeated going into their big rivalry game. I'm kind of looking at this, and truthfully, you take the names and colors off of both teams, they're kind of one and the same, at least in terms of a lot of areas. They both can make hay running the football. We know what Michigan can do with Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum. We know what Michigan State can do with Kenneth Walker. Defensively, they've got guys on both defensive lines who are very good players. We know about Aiden Hutchinson and for Michigan. We know about Jacob Panashuk for Michigan State, who is throwing his hat in the ring as to being one of the better defensive linemen in the Big Ten. And, secondary, I think, is a little bit of a concern for both teams, even though they do have somebody who can be an impact player. We know about Dax Hill for Michigan. Michigan State, you've got somebody like Xavier Henderson or maybe even a Chester Kimbrough back there. But ultimately, I think it's truly going to come down to quarterback play. And honestly, you're going to ask me to pick Peyton Thorne or Cade McNamara. Peyton Thorne has shown me that he can make deep throws. He can make timely throws, go for a kill shot. And plus, the receivers Michigan State has, Jaden Reed, Jalen Naylor, Trey Mosley.
Mm-hmm.
That's a three-headed monster that's going to be tough to stop. So I think Michigan State wins this one. I'll go 28-24. And probably a touchdown from Thorne to Jaden Reed in the final minutes to win it.
All right,
it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. Before you go on, Taylor, it's going to be interesting to see how each team is able to try to get their running game going, because I believe there's going to be the primary focus of attack for each team. Neutralize the running game, whether it be MSU with Kenneth Walker, who's still maintaining his pace and his outlook and production this year, or what Michigan's been able to do with Corum and Haskins, and in some instances Donovan Edwards as well. So I think it will be very key to see which team is able to implement their running game better amongst the two.
All right. So Ed picks Michigan to win 24-21. For Frank picks Michigan State to win 28 to 24, right? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I would say it would be tied 24 apiece at the end of regulation, going to overtime. And oh man, that's a tough one. But I'm going to say Michigan 30, Michigan State 27 in at least one overtime. So that's my Vickett scoring prediction and analysis. Look for the deep ball, but the defenses are going to come up big. Both of them are. They're going to bring the blitz. Both defensive lines are going to bring the blitz on McNamara and Thorne. So look out for them. So speaking of Michigan State football, before we convert to the pros, a lawsuit filed by former Michigan State Spartans football player John Doe was dismissed by the judge after he declined to use his full name in court proceedings. A woman reported that he and two other football players sexually assaulted her in the other player's room, according to ESPN. So if you guys have read it, Ed, we'll start with you and we'll go. Frank, Ed, what were your thoughts on that?
This was the Title IX lawsuit that was filed, that was dismissed, that you're talking about.
Yep, Title IX.
When this, I believe this was, correct me if I'm wrong, might have had some connection. Well, no, actually.
Yep, I'm pulling it up right now.
I'll say this. I can say this. In terms of proceedings that went on, I could appreciate and respect the fact that the player's name was not revealed because they learned their lesson from that botched investigative report that ESPN did a couple years back when they
the full name.
Where I can admit MSU, I thought they were unprofessional in a way going after Michigan State a couple years ago the way they did, not having the right facts reported, revealing players' names, which they were not supposed to. And again, I don't know the full details of this story, so I can't really comment on what's fair either way, because I don't think that would be fair to either party to give my judgmental opinion. But yeah, it is a definite process that you hope did not have had happen, especially with what we've seen going on in terms of scandal involving sexual abuse from both schools, frankly. But it's something to see, and I don't know if he's going to appeal, if this player is going to appeal or not. But yeah, it's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, the football player's attorney had requested more time to file, saying the player planned to file an amended complaint, quote, with additional facts and possibly additional defendants and claims, unquote, after Michigan State's Title IX hearing scheduled for November 10th. The judge denied that request, writing that the quote, plaintiff's anonymous motion for an extension of time does not address the court's concerns regarding the need for open judicial proceedings. If and when the plaintiff is prepared to proceed under his own name, he can do so by filing a new complaint, unquote. So those are the statements right there made by the attorney. So an entry in Michigan State University's daily crime log notes report a sexual assault at a residence hall back on January 30th of this calendar year. So that was this past January. The Ingham County District Attorney's Office indicated in a response to an open records request Friday that it had decided on Monday not to file criminal charges in the case, which it had received in April. When reached Friday, the player's attorney, Tessa Muir, said her client plans to refile, but declined to say when that would be or whether he would use his name. So, Frank, you're up next.
I mean, truthfully, it's a bad situation all the way around, given what's happened in the past, and obviously, this player not revealing his name. I mean, I think it was pretty much said by the judge, look, you can't go forward saying, oh, I'm not going to reveal myself. health. But even though the said player is not going to be charged criminally, you got to come out and at least reveal who you are. That's part of the legal process, whether or not you like it. I mean, really, there are no winners in this.
Right. So that's that for this one. We'll still keep an eye on this one, but I think this one's all said and done. So now to the Lions. They lose to Matthew Stafford and his new team, the Los Angeles Rams, 28-19 at SoFi Stadium to stay winless at 0-7. So they didn't. Ed, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Frank. Ed, the Lions did not give up, like you pointed out. So, but the Rams put the game away after Jared Goff threw an interception when he was rushed. I mean, he could have at least taken the sack and probably set up an Austin Seibert field goal instead. So, I mean, it was a battle nonetheless. Ed, go right ahead.
Yeah, it was. And frankly, I'm a little bit impressed and surprised because I think everybody else and their mother was expecting, okay, this is going to be a blowout all the way without no question. And I got to give the Lions credit here in terms of, I don't know what was said or what Dan Campbell said to them throughout the week or before the game, but the way they played throughout this game, even deep into the fourth quarter, was a far different mentality, far different mental makeup than what I've seen in the past couple of weeks, especially last week. You would have thought, oh, okay, maybe they're going to get up, they're going to play for their coach, or the whole, crying at the podium thing, but it didn't happen. They played their worst game of the year as a result. But here, they came out with an absolute, hey, we're going to go down. If we're going to go down, we're going to go down swinging type of mentality. I thought it was a terrific play call using the Rams blitzing and aggression against them when that screen pass to DeAndre Swift that went 63 yards for a touchdown. I thought that was a great job. They did a great job in setting the tone and letting you know, hey, we came here to play. We came here to fight. We didn't came here to lay down for you. And it was further exemplified in the following decisions that Dan Campbell made. Onside kicks, fake punts, going for it on fourth down. He went all out, balls to the wall out here on this one to want to get that win, and I appreciate that. He mentioned about Goff having to step up, other players having to step up, and you saw that energy. You saw that being exemplified in a majority of throughout the game. Really, I mean, for goodness' sake, Penei Sewell was jacking it up, was bumping gums and trading insults and trading shots with Aaron Donald of all people. So that doesn't speak to what you want to see from this team, from Coach Dan Campbell's perspective. I don't know what else to tell you, because they knew they weren't the talent, they were not the more talented team. They were they were far and away the underdog in this one, and for good reason. So the fact that they were able to do so well in the first half and even keep it as competitive as it was, even into the fourth, they still lost. It was still disappointing in a sense. But the fact that they didn't get killed in this one, there's, I know you hate to use the term moral victories here, but I'm perfectly fine with this one because, I think the mindset and the mood throughout this whole week, especially after that Cincy game, was like, oh God, we looked so bad against the Bengals. What in God's name is Stafford going to do to us? And we brought it to the Rams. We were doing the right thing in terms of having proper turn of possession because they know how prolific and explosive that Rams offense can be. So it was smart to do whatever you can to limit the number of possessions as much as possible. So whether it be fake punts, whether it be going for it on fourth down, you do what you got to do to keep your drive alive and eventually get points. And I thought, to the Lions' credit, they did as well a job as they possibly could. And in turn, that had to bring more out of Stafford and this Rams team. I like to see DeAndre Swift doing what he did, as well as Jamal Williams in general. I would have liked to seen the running game get more involved, but I get it. You don't want to be too one-dimensional. Jared Goff, I thought he played as well as he possibly could in his first game back at home, so to speak. This is his revenge game as well. That can't be forgotten about. But yeah, there's not much I can say in terms of what the Lions did. That what else they could have done. Yeah, I would compare it to what we saw. I'm your residential pro wrestling fan. I use lingo, use terms, use references around here as much as possible. But that was an example of a pro wrestling match of you didn't expect, if I would draw it to, like, say, Bret Hart versus 1-2-3 Kid on WWF Raw in 1994, that would be, I think, in my view, a perfect illustration of that, where who's the favorite, who's the underdog, but you see such a competitive match throughout where the underdog, has the champion or has the better guy on his heels and almost is on the verge of pulling the upset, but eventually the talent does separate, the cream rises to the top, and you're able to pull away. That's what we saw here. The fact that on the same day that Tom Brady threw his 600th career touchdown pass, which is an insane stat in and of itself, Matthew Stafford, got his 300th career, which also tied him at the moment before he got another touchdown, tied him with the legendary John Elway. So there was a lot of sentimental history, minor and not so minor, that took place in this game. And I thought, this was a match or game rather where both sides came out looking good. And there's still something that you can take away from and lessons to be learned if you're the Lions, that you would have liked to have gotten the win, but you're proud of that effort. You're way more proud of that effort this week than what you had last week. So good on them. And I think they could use what they, lessons here, use what they were able to do so well here. And I do believe, if they come with this same mentality, not every week, but in certain weeks, like say next week against a Philly team, which I think they have a better shot than most people give them credit for. They're going to be able to win a game, at least a couple of games this season. I firmly believe that. I don't think they're going to go 0-17.
Yeah. Well, with the fighting stuff, they may not go 0-17, although it's a possibility, of course, still, like, at least a slight possibility, if not moderate. But I think the Lions will win at least one game, maybe two, but that's about it. But they just got to cut back on the mental mistakes. If they start cutting back on those mental mistakes, especially the ones that matter the most in the clutch, for instance, especially with the secondary defense, Jared Goff and other stuff and other units, then maybe they have a shot to win this game. It's not a matter of being a nervous wreck. It's just a matter of whether or not you make the mental mistake in the clutch. So, Frank, it's your turn.
Well, I'm really not sure what more is to be said other than, I hate using the term moral victories, but, I guess I have to make an exception for this one because, the Lions didn't get destroyed or give up a 50-burger like I thought they were going to, as I said last week. They went out, they came out swinging. That's the mentality that I'd like to see more often on a consistent basis. How many times have we harped on that, showing the aggressiveness? And we saw today, not one, but two perfectly executed fake punts, an onside kick recovery, going for it on fourth down. If this team plays like that more often and more consistently, they will win a game or two from somebody. Who it's against, I don't know. But, I think at the end of the day, if you're a Lions fan, you say, we got beat, but, this isn't the same vibe as the 0-16 team that was just always getting beaten and had given up. This team's going to go down fighting to the bitter end, even though they might lose. And for that, you just got to tip your hat to them and say, hey, good job, good effort. Or you're going to get somebody someday.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So the Lions return home to Ford Field to play the Philadelphia Eagles Sunday at 1 on Fox. Let me look at the Eagles' record right now on.
They're 2-5.
2-5. Oh,
they just lost to the Raiders today.
The Raiders.
Oh, dear God.
The Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Raiders have been a a good.
I mean,
I
no
think-
disrespect, but that just shows of how ineffective Philly is, and I'm really, I don't want to give anything away, but I'm really leaning towards picking the Lions in this one. But go ahead, let's set it up.
Yeah,
First.
Eagles 2-5, Lions 0-7. I think if the Lions keep this up like they did against the Rams, as long as they don't play down a competition, then the Lions have a shot to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Ed, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Frank. Ed, go ahead.
If you don't want the Eagles to play down the competition, because they at least got 2 wins this season. But Jalen Hurts has been far too inconsistent. He's been along the same level of Jared Goff, believe it or not, in terms of production and performance. He's got only 1 more touchdown, but just like 25 less passing yards and the same amount of interceptions. The only difference is that Jalen Hurts can mystify that and mask that with his athletic ability and his running ability, because he's already got 5 rushing touchdowns this year by himself. So that alone leads the Eagles in rushing touchdowns. That's from your quarterback. You can take that as both good and bad at the same time for obvious reasons. That being said, I think the fact that this is a home game, it's before the bye week. This is your most winnable game that you can until Thanksgiving against the Bears, because you're on the road after this bye week, then on the road back to back. You're facing the Bears, the Browns and the Steelers. You want to get you're trying to get a win as badly as possible. And while again today was disappointing, if they come up and show up with this same mentality next week, I don't think they're losing. And in fact, I have not been impressed with Philly that much at all. And like you just said, they just lost to the freaking Raiders today. I may look like an idiot, but I don't care. I'm going to put my balls on the table and say the Lions are going to get their first win of the year this season. And I believe that. So my bigger predicted score is Detroit 20. Actually, no, Detroit 23, Eagles 21.
Oh, close. Ed says Lions 23, Eagles 21. It's close. Frank, well, you're up next, and then I'll follow up.
Well, as Ed said, this is the Lions' most winnable game until Thanksgiving. You get Philly coming in. Philly's been garbage. Jalen Hurts, super inconsistent. And, of course, he leads the team in rushing touchdowns, but he's the quarterback, which I don't think is a good thing because he's eventually going to get killed out there. And I truly want to believe that the Lions are going to win this game. I think if they play like they did against the Rams today, they can and will win. But me, I'll believe it when I see it kind of person. And there are games the Lions should have won, but end up finding a way to lose. And I just have a feeling that that's going to be the case again this Sunday. And I know I'll probably catch flack from it. And you know what? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm going to go Eagles 23, Lions 21. And unfortunately, it's going to be another late field goal that wins it for Philadelphia.
Due to lack of secondary defense.
Or just Jalen Hurts making a big play either through the air or on the ground.
Well, because the Lions secondary defense has allowed it. Just like they allowed against the Ravens.
The fourth down play by Lamar Jackson.
And 19 yards to go. A 36-yard pass to Sammy Watkins. And then 2 deep balls in Minnesota.
Yeah, don't forget the Kirk Cousins drive.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, a former Michigan State Spartan, Frank. Remember them?
I haven't forgot about Captain Kirk. So, I mean, look.
Captain Kirk.
I forgot to mention, by the way, another thing that could impact the Lions from a mental standpoint. This was their first time at all this whole season that they were taking offensive snaps of the ball with the lead. They know they were getting experience on how to play with a lead in front of them. Because if you notice, the last other times where they took the lead, they didn't get the ball back because they lost at the end with the field goal. So I think, again, they need little experience in moments like this to help build their confidence and their capability so that they know how to get the job done when it matters most. But, again, that's still yet to be seen.
Yep.
That's a good point, Ed.
Yep. So, with that being said, Ed says Lions win 23-21. Frank says Eagles win 23-21. I'm going to range it again. Overtime, it's going to be 21 apiece. And I think the Lions are going to win by a field goal, 24-21 in overtime. So that's my biggest scoring prediction in range. So that's Lions, and that's all the teams we've covered. So to conclude, what I've learned, the Michigan Wolverines need to start playing a better first half in each of their games, no matter who they play, and it starts with the Michigan State Spartans. And no matter who wins, I'm going to love this one. I'm rooting for both teams to play a good game, no matter who wins. I don't care who wins. The Lions still have a possibility to go 0-17, like I mentioned before, which I still don't think will happen. They'll win at least a game or two. The Red Wings, they're still proving why they're saving Jeff Blashill's job for now. They're now 3-2-1. They just beat the Blackhawks earlier tonight, 6-3. Lucas Raymond a hat trick and an assist. The Pistons, Cade Cunningham, doesn't even matter now. I'm actually not in a rush to see Cade Cunningham now, since we still learn that the Pistons aren't going to go very far, even with him, with or without him. They're not going to go too far. They're not going to make the playoffs. They got too much young talent, except with Kelly Olynyk, who can drive to the rack but can't hit free throws. So that's what I've learned. Ed, you're next, and then we'll go to Frank.
What I learned that the Lions are definitely going to have a team that's going to play with as much fight as you possibly could see out of a team from this point on, throughout this whole season and for the rest of the season. I learned that the Pistons like to have seen Cade Cunningham in there in terms of experience and depth and reps and circumstance, but the pieces are there to make this team better this year as it was last year. It's just a matter of getting everybody on the court at the same time. I learned from the Red Wings again, they have, similar to the Pistons, pieces need be to go a little step further for this season, but don't expect too much because there's still a team growing, still a team in development on the mend, if you will. The Lions, I already mentioned the Lions, that they're never say die will, but now it's main event time. If you're Michigan, if you're Michigan State, this is what you've been building up your season towards, and what you're, now begins to stretch in the chunk of the season of where you want to separate yourself from your competition, prove not only that you can be one of the best, but you can be the best team in the Big Ten, go for that Big Ten championship, go for a Rose Bowl, and if possible, go for something even bigger in terms of your title aspirations.
All right. Frank, what did you learn?
What I've learned is that the Lions, even though they may not be good, they're always going to go down fighting, and who knows, it could end up leading to a couple of wins that might catch us by surprise. The Pistons, no rush for Cade Cunningham. He'll play when he's ready. The Red Wings have got not one, but two cornerstones on their roster who are contributing, and we saw one of them get a key milestone in his career tonight, Lucas Raymond with his first career hat trick. And Saturday, get your
it's not a milestone, but it is a first career hat trick.
Yes, first career hat trick. So, but Saturday, get your popcorn ready. It's gonna be a hell of a show between Michigan State and Michigan, and the winner can use it to springboard into November. And they say in college football, November is for contenders. So we'll see what happens come Saturday.
Yep, that's true, and that's championship week at the end of November or the early first week of December. So that's what we've learned. Before we go, this show is sponsored by the Vig It Sports mobile app, where great fans cover. Use the hashtag #GreatFansCover to support the app on social media. Download the app on your phone from the Apple App Store or Google Play. Sign up and type in the referral code STABLES with a capital S and the rest of the letters being lowercase, including the letter B in the middle, as in billionaire, for Stables Media. Shout out to Cali Tickets. Visit CaliTickets.com or call 877-225 to purchase call 877-225-8425 to purchase tickets to a featured event. That's 877-225-8425. So Our next episode is not until Monday, November 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So, yeah, we've talked about this off the air as well. So, Monday, November 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, for Frank and Ed, I'm Taylor Phillips signing off. Follow me on Twitter I'm Taylor Phillips signing off. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DT2Phillips. Follow Ed Smith on Twitter and Instagram at EdSmith313. And follow Frank Vasner on Twitter and Instagram at Frank_Vasner, VAJCNER. And follow the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Michigan_Truth. Like it on Facebook as the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast and follow it on LinkedIn. Thanks very much for listening, watching, downloading, and sharing. And remember, the truth is out there. TTFN, ta-ta for now. Power the people, hit them with a hind. We rest our case. Stay out of trouble.